Hi, it's Jerry Delemus and Mac Ruiz, and we're thank you for watching. And we're looking in Trump's announcement for his third presidential bid, and we just hope that you enjoy what we have to say and what he has to say, and like and subscribe at the bottom.
All right, here we go.
We're going to go back to the speech in just a minute. Let's get some quick snap reaction first from Pete Hegseth, who's been watching along with us. Pete, he went through every issue of success, every issue of failure as it relates to the Biden administration, how this country has changed so dramatically in the last 2 years. I just got an early copy of the text just now, and I'm looking at it. We'll go back in a minute when he has a pretty important close, but your thoughts so far?
Well, Sean, nothing like the original. He went back to the themes that put him in the White House, from fair trade to borders to ending nonsense foreign wars to saying we, the people, have been ignored by Washington, D.C. It's a forward-looking speech that recognizing the disaster of the last 2 years. He said, as president, I delivered for you where other presidents have not. This looks like Trump in as good a form as you've ever seen him, sticking to the issues that matter to his voters, making the case to Republican primary voters that he's the guy to continue to be the standard bearer as the original that remade the party. There will be others, many of which leverage their association with Trump to get where they are, who will try to be like Trump. There's only one original who got to the White House and fought. And I think if he stays on message the way he did tonight, he's got a formidable case to make to a Republican electorate.
Governor Huckabee, we will lift up the working men and women. We will restore the fabric of this great nation. We declare it does not have to be this way. America's comeback starts right now. I kept my promises. We are now a nation in decline. And Americans are suffering pain, hardship, anxiety, despair. And, you know, America has now become mocked, derided, and brought to its knees. Could you have imagined all this happening in 2 short years? Because I frankly couldn't.
Get past this ad. Let's see here. I'll just cut segment.
Tell me that.
There we go.
Sean, the construct of the speech is pitch perfect. If he keeps on like this tonight, he is unbeatable in 2024. Nobody can touch him. Not a Republican, not a Democrat. He stayed on message. One of the key things he said, this is not my campaign, this is our campaign. He has made it about the American people. He's reminded them that the reason they voted for him once and most of us twice was because he was fighting for us. And he made the comment, this is not about critics and complainers. He's looking forward. I'm telling you, this was an absolutely brilliant speech, the best I've heard him give in a long time. And he stays on this message. I agree with Pete. He stays and keeps it between the ditches. And this focus, he's unbeatable.
You know, I think you might be able to make the...
What was that?
I said, unless you use the voting machines. Was it Lennon said, it's not who votes that counts, but he who counts the votes.
Right. So what do you think about Trump being running again at this point?
Well, I knew he was going to. I mean, there's just no way he wasn't going to run.
Right.
And I think probably almost in my lifetime, he fulfilled more of his promises than anybody I can remember.
Yeah.
And fulfilling his promises of what to do. And I think he probably, next to maybe Reagan, there's no one I've heard that expressed more love for this country than him. You know, I mean, you may go back to John Kennedy,
right?
And was a Democrat, for those who don't know. And but Kennedy wasn't all that far off of what Trump's saying. He loved the country. Asked what, you know, not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. You know, help reach out. And Trump's issue is going to be is that he's going to have the Republican establishment, the McConnell types, and those going after him, stabbing him in the back the whole way. And there's a lot of money from China coming in that China knows that if Trump's reelected, is that there's going to be problems for them with that. And so a lot of that foreign money that comes in through corporations and then runs advertisements on television networks and radio stations and such. So they're going to try to cut him off at the knees. And what we have immediately thereafter, after Trump announced, is then the Attorney General put a special prosecutor on to reinvestigate stuff that they haven't been able to find anything on anyways, just to smear mud. So, I mean, Trump sometimes, I thought, shot himself in the foot, throughout even when he was running in 2016. I thought, oh, that's going to do him in, but he managed to get through it. But he's a smart guy, and he does love this country, and I absolutely believe it. And if you listen to his message, what he says is it's all positive for America, and it always has been, actually.
Right.
What's good for Americans? What's good for the middle class? He's not saying the middle class or that are white, or the middle class that aren't black. And he's saying the middle class. He's talking about all black, white, Hispanic, Asian. He doesn't care. But the problem is then the divisiveness comes through, and you listen to other media stations, and they go back and they try to make him out as to be this monster, and they say things about him that they would go have a coronary over if anybody said about a Democrat.
Right.
From sexist to racist to you name it, they go after him and talk about no tolerance. They go after Trump.
Well, that's the benefit of that party particular, having media pretty much 100% under their control.
Yeah. Just watch what ads they run on their stations.
Yeah. 50%. 50%. Right. 50% other things, and then the other 50% Pfizer.
Yeah. And it's huge money. Who went after Big Pharma? Or Trump did. Right. And Biden's now saying something about a Big Pharma, but it's crap because he's not. I mean, not that Pfizer and others, Moderna didn't make a fortune off of the vaccines, and still are. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I like Trump, but he's quite a lightning rod. And, sometimes I wish you'd just tone down, like when after DeSantis and such. And but he's a tough guy, and he speaks his mind. There was an assassination attempt on him. Well, and that was before he was elected in 2016 in Nevada, in Las Vegas. The kid came in from Britain and then went into Jersey. And it's funny, I sat on a bus with him and I interviewed him. And he was in chains. And so I on his way to a trial. And he had come out here. He didn't like Trump. He said he was a racist. He also said the Prime Minister of Britain was a racist. And I asked him, I said, so why do you want to shoot him? And he goes, well, he's a racist. He goes, I thought the Secret Service was going to kill me. I said, why is that? And he goes, well, they were wrestling with me. And I said, oh, and went after that policeman's gun? He says, yeah. And he said, I thought they were going to kill me. And it's interesting. That guy got a plea deal. And I think he spent like 6 months in American jail and sent back to Britain. Can you imagine that? He's attacking the law enforcement, fighting with the Secret Service, which are federal officers. I mean, there were so many charges there, and then they let him go back to his parents in Britain. And he was an adult; it wasn't a minor.
Right.
And it's just the standards in this country are ludicrous.
Yeah.
So,
I don't
know.
As far as Trump goes, I don't know how I feel about him running right now, because I don't know who he's going up against. And the DeSantis thing was a real bummer, because I just feel like that was taking shots at extremely important figures that were on his side. And I'm half thinking he may get what's that, Christy Noem? I think Christy Noem out of South Dakota, or the governor, who was awesome. And matter of fact, she didn't let any of the COVID stuff, intimidation work in her state. And again, somebody like that as the VP, and she's a top real smart. And who knows who he's going to pull? But I mean, it's hard to tell. Maybe conservatives are the minority
or the cheating is so good that they'll never win. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think a
tough.
lot of it, there's a cultural problem within conservatives, or within, I guess you would call it, the politically right side, because I don't even want to call them all conservatives, but just on the politically right side, I think they're not activists. So the problem is they're not as militant when it comes to voting. They're not as militant when it comes to being politically involved. Now MAGA, that side, the MAGA crowd specifically, are much more political activists than, but that's the problem, right? It's not that the whole entire political right spectrum overall isn't as political. They tend to just not care.
Well, I think they're less apt to riot. That's for damn sure.
Right.
And
because they're less apt to riot means they're probably
Yeah.
even less apt to go in and vote, which is,
Yeah.
that hurts, right? If if more people came up and showed up, then I mean, the majority of the country, I do believe, lean politically right, because I mean, you could make an argument that the cities are, or what keeping all these states afloat. Of course it is. It's true. Yes, the cities are. But at the same time, what are making the very poor side of the Democrats go out and vote in the numbers that they vote in? That's the
Lies.
question. Right.
Lies.
But why do they want to go do it? I mean, because even if,
the promises are something for nothing, and this guy's going to destroy everything
right, but on
around
the
you and destroy
other,
your life. And,
right, and on
put
the
you back in chains, as Hillary said.
right, but on the other side of it, the Republicans don't go out voting against that. They don't go necessarily voting against it. They're like, yeah, because I hear a lot of Republicans say, they'll go vote Libertarian, or they'll be like, yeah, but it's the, I don't want to vote for the, the best of two evils. You hear that one all the time on the right side.
Or the lesser of two evils.
The lesser of two evils. Right. But is it really though? I mean,
depends on the candidate.
Right. But I mean, you look at Trump, or you look at, I mean, anybody, including Bush, and I'm not a giant fan of Mr. Patriot Act.
I think that was actually probably one of the worst pieces of legislation ever passed in this country.
Oh,
I mean, that's
100%.
akin to allowing slavery in my mind. I mean, that is an intrusive, tyrannical piece of legislation.
It was an elimination of the Fourth Amendment.
Yeah. Well, what they did is they, just like with COVID, they took an advantage of an emergency. But that never let a good emergency go to waste, right?
That they created.
And, that they create, and then they put the screws to us with it.
Right.
And,
convince me. Somebody please convince me that a bunch of goat herders out of Afghanistan all got pilot's license, then became pilots, all got on the right flights at the right time, and all flew them into in sync on all these different hard targets in the United States.
Yeah, it's we're in serious trouble, and the issue is that one of the issues, should I say, is that the American voters on the right, I'll say Republicans, has been disenfranchised,
right,
and that's been very good because they've been infiltrated by leftists who run on a Republican platform, if you will, or at least big part of the platform. And then you vote for the lesser of two evils, and he gets in there and he acts like he's a leftist or she, and then people are disenfranchised. They go, "Hey, my vote doesn't count."
Right.
And,
right.
But your vote does count.
You could make the argument that then the RNC is the big problem, right?
Yeah,
they're the ones that are putting in allowing these kinds of candidates to come through, that they don't actually represent the values.
Right. And it's can you imagine going out and then picking out a gal that you want to marry, or a gal picks out a guy she wants to marry, and she goes, well, I'm going to take the lesser of two evils. Right? I mean, this guy whores around on me, and he drinks a lot, but he's not smoking crack like that other guy, and he hasn't beat me, so and those are the choices that we've been given. And then the other side is they're smoking crack, beating you, stealing from you, and it's like, well, I'm not going over there at all, but I mean, which of these two do I want to deal with?
Right.
And it's difficult. I'll say this as well, is the and I'm going to say the conservative bloc of society are pretty lawful people.
Right.
And they want to adhere to the law. They understand the rule of law, and they want to abide by it. So they're less apt to. That's why they don't riot.
Right.
And that's why they pick on this January 6th thing so much, is because they can go, oh, look at them, they're rioting, when they ignore, well, I don't know how many hundreds of riots and burnings and lootings and things that happened over the last 2 years before it is, and they ignore that. Well, that's everyday occurrence with those guys. It's like deaths in Chicago.
Right.
Well, we don't, even though it's run by Democrats, we ignore that. Is that. And so what happens is those conservatives with a good foundation, if you will, is tolerate, because they want to be lawful, and they don't want to rock the boat. They know things can be a lot worse. But the problem is they don't know when to put their foot down,
right, and
to say no. And even the churches are teaching, and you can't judge. You got to be tolerate this. You got to be lawful and do this and do that. And don't judge. And then so what happens is, through all that brainwashing, is you allow things to happen that clearly, if you want to go against Scripture, or go against Scripture, and that do and really are illegal in this country,
right?
And even according to our Constitution. So it's a tough thing, and Trump's standing up for. He's like the old-fashioned guy. And who gets up and just goes, hey, this is what it is. Here's the truth. Here it is. I don't know if you like it or not. Here it is. This is the truth.
Right.
And some people just want to live in a fantasy. And but unfortunately, they're taking the rest of us with it.
Yep. And that is the case. If you guys want to see more stuff like this, like and subscribe, comment down below. Let us know other content you would like us to take a look at. See you on the next one.